everyone. Welcome back to Daily Duo English. I'm Emily.
And I'm Ben. So glad you're here with us. Emily, how's it going today, actually?
Pretty good, Ben. I was actually just thinking about this really funny guy I used to work with and how memorable he was.
Oh, yeah? What was he like? I'm curious now.
Well, he was super tall, like really tall, and he wore these incredibly colorful, sometimes mismatched socks every single day. And he always had some kind of weird fun fact to share during our team meetings. Totally unforgettable, honestly. His presence just stuck with you.
That's awesome, Emily. And you know what? That totally ties into today's topic perfectly. Describing people.
Exactly. Today, we're going to dive into how you can describe someone in English, covering things like their looks, their personality, and even, their overall vibe.
Yeah, it's a super useful skill for all sorts of situations. Think about conversations, storytelling, and especially something like job interviews where you might need to describe yourself or someone you've worked with, or even a colleague.
Or, if you're just trying to explain who someone is without actually knowing their name, like, that tall guy, he always has those cool glasses and the nervous laugh when he's telling a joke.
Yeah, exactly. That's a perfect real-life example of when you need these skills. All right, so let's actually jump right into it. We're going to start with the basics, describing someone's looks. Emily, when you're talking about someone physically, what's like the first thing you usually mention?
Good question. I think you'd probably start with their height and their general build. Like you could say, oh, he's tall and slim, or she's short and a bit curvy. Just those general, immediate observations.
Yeah, exactly. And then you might move on to hair, right? So you could say, he has short, dark hair, or she has long, straight, blonde hair. It's pretty straightforward, really.
Right. And it's good to remember these simple adjectives. Like for height, we use words like tall, short, average height. And for build, slim, athletic, curvy, heavyset, those kinds of words are really useful.
Absolutely. And even colors for hair, like blonde, brunette, red, black, gray, and then texture like straight, curly, wavy. It all adds to the picture you're trying to paint, doesn't it?
It really does. It's all about giving enough detail for someone to kind of visualize the person in their mind. So we start with height and build, then hair. What's next? Okay, so we've got height, build, hair, and then if you want to get a little more specific, you can definitely mention facial features. Things like she has really big green eyes, or he has a beard and glasses. Those details really start to paint a picture.
Yeah, exactly. And not just physical features, but like how they carry themselves or their style. Like, you could say he looks like a movie star if they're, really handsome or charismatic, or she dresses really stylishly. That actually adds a bit of personality too, doesn't it?
It really does. I mean, we don't just describe people like robots, right? We're not just listing features. We also want to capture their whole vibe, their essence.
For sure. So beyond just, he has a big nose, you might say, he looks very serious, even if he's smiling. Or she always has this bright, friendly smile, which tells you something about her personality as well, just from her expression.
Absolutely. It's about combining those physical observations with a sense of their personality or how they make you feel. So, listeners, here's a little question for you right now. How would you describe your favorite actor? Think about their hair, their height, their eyes, their style, what kind of vibe they give off. Maybe even if they have any specific facial features that stand out.
That's a great one. Pause for a second, think about it. And on that note of personality and vibe, I think we should totally get into personality next.
My favorite part, because people aren't just how they look, right? It's really about how they are.
Exactly. So for positive traits, you can say something like, she's really outgoing and fun to be around. Or, he's very quiet and thoughtful. Those are two completely different, but both very positive traits.
Yeah, totally. Or you could say, she's really ambitious and hardworking if someone's super driven. Or on the flip side, he's kind of laid back and easygoing if they're more relaxed. It really depends on the person's, actual character.
And these phrases are super useful because they give you a fuller picture of someone beyond just what you see. It's about their inner qualities. What about negative traits, though? Because not everyone is just sunshine and rainbows all the time, right? How do you describe those but still keep it, polite?
Oh, good question. This is where softeners come in, which are super important. You can say, he's a bit impatient, or she can be bossy sometimes. See how those a bit or can be phrases kind of soften it? They make it less direct, more polite.
Right, so instead of just saying he interrupts people, which is a bit harsh, you could say he tends to interrupt people. Or instead of she's always late, he might say she's often late or she's sometimes late. It's honest, but it's not overly critical.
Exactly. It's about being accurate, but also considerate. We don't want to burn any bridges when we're describing people.
For sure. And speaking of descriptions, here's a fun listener question for everyone out there. How would your best friend describe you? Think about it and try to use 3 words. That's it, just 3 words.
Ooh, that's a good one. That makes you really think about what stands out, doesn't it? I wonder what mine would say about me.
Okay, so we've talked about describing people, ourselves, but what if you're trying to figure out who someone is, or you just want to know more about them? Let's flip it. What if you want to ask about someone?
Oh, that's a great idea, actually, because sometimes you just need to get that initial description. So you could say something like, what does she look like? That's a super basic, straightforward way to ask about someone's appearance.
Yeah, or if you're a little more specific, you might ask, how would you describe him? That's good because it invites a more detailed answer, not just, 1 or 2 words.
Exactly. And sometimes you have a little bit of information, like, is he the guy with the beard? Maybe you just remember one striking feature.
Right. Or for personality, you could ask, what's she like? That immediately tells the person you're interested in their character, their temperament.
Yeah, that's really useful. And then back to appearance, simple questions work well too, like, is he tall or short? Or does she wear glasses? These are quick ways to narrow it down.
Yeah, those are really helpful, especially when you're trying to picture someone or identify them in a group.
And sometimes you're not quite sure if you've met someone before, but you remember a characteristic. You could try, I think I met her before. Is she the one who laughs really loud? It's a bit more of a guess, but it uses a descriptive element to help identify them.
I am totally that person who laughs really loud. So if you ever hear that, that might be me.
Confirmed. So these are all really practical phrases to add to your toolkit, whether you're describing or trying to get more information.
Okay, so, speaking of descriptions, I have a little story time for you. Something that always sticks out in my mind about how looks don't always tell the whole story.
Oh, I love story time. Spill the tea, Ben.
So when I was in college, I had this roommate, right? His name was Marcus, and when you first saw him, he was super imposing. Like really tall, like 6'5", very broad shoulders, and he wore a leather jacket everywhere. Like seriously, even in summer sometimes.
Wow. So you'd probably think like a tough guy, maybe? A biker?
Exactly. That's the image he projected. You'd think, okay, this guy's probably really intense, maybe a bit intimidating, But Marcus, he was actually incredibly shy. Like really quiet, spoke very softly, and super, super polite. Always saying please and thank you, offering to help with chores.
Oh, that's such a great contrast. So the leather jacket was just a fashion choice then?
Totally. It was just his style. But it definitely gave people the wrong first impression. He was one of the sweetest, most gentle guys I knew. People often assumed he was like a rock star or something, but he was really into classical music and actually loved to knit.
I love that. See, that just proves our point. People don't always match their look. It's fascinating how those first impressions can be so misleading sometimes.
Right? What about you? Do you have a similar story, Emily?
Oh, I do. I had a neighbor once, years ago, and if you just saw him, you would immediately think rock star. He had like a ton of tattoos, piercings everywhere, really crazy spiky hair, often dyed bright colors. You'd expect him to be like constantly playing loud music and maybe staying out late.
Yeah, sounds like he lived life on the edge.
That's what you'd think. But he was actually the quietest person on the street. He was a huge cat dad, like he had 3 cats and would talk about them constantly. And his favorite hobby was baking cookies. And get this, he only watched romantic comedies.
No way! That's amazing. A tattoo-covered, piercing-wearing, cat-loving, cookie-baking, rom-com enthusiast.
Exactly. Total opposite of his outward appearance. He'd bring us cookies all the time. It just shows that descriptions can be full of surprises. You really have to get to know someone beyond just, what they look like on the surface. Speaking of getting to know people beyond their appearance, how about we do a quick quiz-style practice?
Ooh, I like that.
I'll describe someone, and you, our listeners, can try to imagine them or, even describe them back in your head.
Yeah, play along at home. This is a good way to test if you've been paying attention to all these great descriptive words we've been sharing.
Exactly. Okay, so ready? Here's the first one. Imagine someone who she has curly red hair and always wears colorful clothes. She's super energetic, always moving, and tells really, really great stories.
Ooh. I definitely have a mental picture forming. Like someone who brings a lot of joy to a room.
For sure. All right, your turn, Ben. Give us another one.
Okay, my turn. Here's a different one. He's short and stocky with a shaved head. He's really calm, not easily flustered. But he has a great sense of humor, like a really dry wit.
I can see that. Someone you'd feel really comfortable around, but who could also make you laugh.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Emily, one more.
Okay, last one. Let's see. This person is tall, athletic, with long brown hair, often pulled back in a ponytail. She's very focused, super dedicated, and she rarely smiles. But once you actually talk to her, you realize she's super kind, like surprisingly kind.
Interesting. So maybe a bit intimidating at first glance, but then completely warms up. That's a good one. Describing people really is an art, isn't it?
It totally is. And that's really it for today's lesson, everyone. We hope you learned some new ways to describe people, whether it's their looks, their personality, or that overall vibe.
Yeah. If you learned something new, or you just enjoyed hanging out with us, please don't forget to hit that like button on this video. It really helps us out.
And definitely subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We've got new English practice videos coming out every single week.
Oh, and don't forget to hit that notification bell too. That way you'll never miss an episode. You'll get a little ping.
Absolutely. And for our final question for you, our amazing listeners, we want you to tell us in the comments, how would you describe your best friend? Use all those great words we talked about today.
Yeah, and use just 3 words like we did earlier, or, go wild. We can't wait to read your answers and see all your creative descriptions.
We really can't. So all together now. Ready, Ben?
Ready. We're your daily duo and your English-speaking buddies.
Thanks so much for hanging out and learning with us today.
Yeah, see you all next time on Daily Duo English.